All right, you guys, we're here with Rey. We're going to ask her some questions, mostly about Star Wars. Rey, first off, how you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Very nice. Are you happy with where the IP's at, or are you concerned with where the IP's at? Like, some people think Star Wars is in a good place, some people think it's in a very bad place. Your thoughts?
Well, I think it's always a battle between whether it's a good place or a bad place. That's, the balance. But I feel like we're in a pretty good place, and you just have to kind of overcome it.
Lots of fans are not happy with how Luke Skywalker was portrayed. In fact, the actor himself said he felt hornswoggled by Disney. What do you think about that?
Yes, I remember hearing about that as well. I think the tact he took, I think, was good. He, brought up that he was uncomfortable with it, but at the end of the day, you're an actor. If they tell you, it's a very polarizing way to portray it. So, in a sense, it does give him more of a journey to go on. So I get that part of it. But, you're either going to hate it or you're going to love it.
Do you think Luke trying to murder his nephew was maybe a little extreme and shouldn't have happened?
Well, I mean, who hasn't wanted to murder a family member at one time or another? But
I want to kill all my family members. So,
yes,
yeah.
I've heard that about you.
Yes.
But, like he said, it was a moment, and, he didn't actually act on it, and then it just kind of went too far. I don't think Kylo is very open to the word I'm sorry, so, it's tough.
But Mark Hamill, the actor, do you think maybe he, if anyone deserves to have a say about Luke Skywalker, should have had some sway with the director of, hey, Luke's not a kid-killing, negative guy, maybe you should listen a little bit? Like, maybe they mistreated him a smidge?
Absolutely. I would have to agree with that, especially because Mark Hamill is Luke Skywalker, and he's a legend on and off the screen. But also I think, at the end of the day, maybe they just could have shown a bit more of why he was that way, and then we might have been able to swallow it a bit better.
Some more explanation, perhaps. You can go ahead.
Yes, because they don't really talk about that a lot, and then it's just the flashback, and so much happens in between, so they don't say much.
Very nice. What do you think about Solo losing $100 million after the backlash to The Last Jedi? Do you think that perhaps that was indicative of some poor choices made, or do you think maybe just Solo, people didn't want to see it? Like, why do you think it... Because it's the first Star Wars film to ever lose money. Ever, even $1.
I think that's a good question, actually.
I bring the real journalism.
I think it might have been partially... I have this thing where I think a movie's going to do badly if they cast a really well-known name in any role. And I know when I watched it, the whole time I'm just like, that's Queen of Dragons. Like, I couldn't understand her.
Khaleesi. Why is Khaleesi out?
Like, why is she there? I don't understand.
Where's Drogon?
Yeah, it takes you out of it. And so that's, I think, why the, Last Jedi and the other movies did better, because they chose all new faces. And so they could become those characters. And Solo's tough just in the sense that we don't see any of the other characters really besides Chewie later on. So it's
and me, I'm in there.
It's true.
I was the best part, right?
Oh, of course. But that's, like one of the little teasers that was like, that makes it so great. So that totally makes sense. But almost everyone else you never see again. So you're like, why? Even Rogue One plugged so many holes in the fandom that people had wondered about for so long. It served a real purpose. Whereas this one was just like Solo. So...
Fair enough. I'm going to ask you one hardball question. A lot of people accuse you of being a Mary Sue. What would you say to those people?
What is a Mary Sue?
Mary Sue is a term that people use for a character in a script who seems to be able to have all the answers to everything because the situation calls for it, so there isn't really the writing to back it up, but because the moment requires it. Like, for instance, she can fly a ship better than Han. She can repair a ship better than Chewie. She's never picked up a lightsaber. She can use one amazingly. She's never used the Force, but she knows what a mind trick is. Some people think that she was given too much at the start and had nowhere to let it climb towards, and so it was a bit hard for her character to grow and go to places because she was already, like, right at the top. Also, there is a Gary Stu as well for the male characters.
Oh, I like that. Let's give them their own name. I think that's a good question, too. I would say that she didn't really know everything, but when you're on your own, you do have to learn a lot. So, I mean, if she's dreamed about getting off her sand planet for so long, you better believe she knows how to survive, which means learning whatever she can.
And what about, like, teaching yourself mind tricks? Like, that's kind of extreme, right?
That's true, but in most comic lore, it explodes at some point in their story where they can't control it, but it kind of happens. So, and if she knows the legends of Luke Skywalker and the Jedi, then she does technically know a little bit of at least the history of it. But she, the whole point is trying to control it later. It's not like she could have lifted all those rocks at the beginning of her journey. She had to work on that.
She was lifting rocks better than Yoda, with like no training.
Well, did we ever see Yoda lift a lot of rocks? We saw him
Yes,
lift
yes,
the
yes.
ship, and that's a lot of rocks there. So we saw him do that.
But he was like really struggling, and Rey was just kind of like,
He was
I
also
got this.
really old. That was right before he died, right?
I don't think age affects your force latency. I mean, Yoda's kind of like the most powerful Jedi, right? We're not going to argue Yoda being like,
No, Yoda's,
he's the man.
He's the man. He's the most powerful Jedi. Absolutely.
Except for me.
Except
Force user, I'm Sith.
I was going to say, you made your choice, so you don't get to be in that category anymore.
Fair enough.
But Darth Sidious did beat Yoda in a fight at one point too, so
My master did quite well.
he did. And they do say, I believe in the lore, that the red lightsabers are actually a bit more powerful than the other colors as well.
This is a fact, I can assure you.
So I guess they just keep doing stupid stuff, and that's why they can't win.
It happens. Rey, this was wonderful. You look amazing. Thank you so much for the time. Is there anything you want to say?
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you as well.